Andy Scott talks about the making of their huge hit, Fox on the Run. I'm John Beaudin from Rocky Stream Music. Sweet were one of my favorite bands of the 70s. As much as I love Deep Purple, and I know Deep Purple was a huge band, I was always more or less a Sweet fan, because all our friends listened to both bands. So it was an honor for me to talk to Andy Scott about Fox on the Run. Fox on the Run. I mean, obviously that was the big one that in North America, well, Ballroom Blitz and Fox on the Run, but what can you tell me about them?
We'd done an album with Phil Wainman, the Sweet Fanny Adams album. And then we did another album less than a year later with Mike Chapman, who came back from America, having heard that Phil had completed an album with us. Him and Nicky were very, uppity. We can do better than that. And I thought, you'd be hard pressed. That was a good album, Sweet Fanny Adams. So we went in the studio. I think the 16s is still probably one of the best songs that we ever recorded. There were other things on the British Desolation Boulevard that had some good moments. When the Americans heard both those albums, by that time we had re-recorded Fox because they went back to America. We recorded Fox on the Desolation Boulevard in Europe, but it was a different version, about 5 minutes long. And somebody from RCA Records rang me, and we were all in my house, funnily enough. And he said, we need a single beginning of next year. We don't have anything on the album. You've had the 16s, you've had Turn It Down, which got banned. You now need a single to bring you back. And they said, we've been listening to the album, and if you're looking for something to do, if you re-recorded Fox on the Run properly, instead of it being some kind of little bit of a ramble, a little bit, it took you on a journey, is I think one of the words he said in the middle. He said, I'm sure you could do something with it. So that afternoon, we started to knock it about, and Ian Gillan had just bought a studio, or taken over a studio that I'd used years ago, called Kingsway. We got the idea for the song, how to tidy it up. At this point, the synthesizers weren't really a big part of it, but I knew I was going to do something synthesizer-wise. So when we started to record the intro, I started to play this riff, and I thought, that's going to work. So, right, we can put the track down. Ian let us have some time over a weekend in his studio. We snuck in there, didn't tell anybody, and recorded Fox on the Run. When the record company heard it, they went, right, let's get that out as quickly as possible. And it became, because of America and all the other territories that it opened up again, it became the biggest seller that we had, which was unusual. It probably pissed Nicky and Mike off the most because, they'd been writing all the hits up until that point. But the one thing that I remember they rushed back from LA to, when the record company said, we're releasing Fox on the Run. I don't think the version that we've got is a single. No, they've re-recorded it. So, and I remember Phil Wainman wanting to come and produce it. And I said, no, I think if we're going to do this, we're going to do this on our own. And when Mike heard it, he phoned me up and he basically said, you finally did it. You finally did it. And I went, thank you.
When that first album was released, what was in your record collection? What were you listening to back then?
I was fairly eclectic. Steve and I, when we first started out, remember, we were sharing rooms. Yeah. So you'd have a roadie in one room, or maybe the two roadies if we had two with us. And then the two members of the band. And I started out with Brian, I think, because I was the new boy.
Right.
And he was like some alley cat, night owl. And I just said, I can't do this, and everybody was, and it just it hadn't occurred to us at that point, you should all have rooms on your own, So I then started to share with Steve. And it kind of got to the point where Steve and I were like an old married couple in the end. We knew our traits. We then did some dates. I can't remember who it was with. A couple of dates where we stayed over, and we were and the band who it was went, oh, still twinning up, and we kind of looked at each other and kind of like the jackasses, what? what we could have a room each, you mean? And it was hilarious, that from then onwards, we became a little bit not needy, but I want was the starting point of a lot of conversations.
Make sure you comment on our video, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. More from Andy Scott coming up in the next 3-4 days. And buy a Rock History Music t-shirt. They're beautiful, and it helps support our channel. We'd appreciate that. I'm John Beaudin. This is Rock History Music.